G'day and welcome, my name is Matt, and here we're going to look at this little belt grinder that I've got. I've made it out of literally what I had lying around. It hasn't cost me too much money. The most expensive part was buying the wheels that I've put on it. However, if you don't have the money for the wheels, you can get away with using some things like some skateboard wheels, and that's what I actually did initially. And they were quite serviceable, and if you're willing to go to a bit of effort to tweak them a bit, you can actually get even better results than I did out of them. But let me give you a quick tour of this and yeah, see how we go. Okay, so the bracket is made out of CRT TV mounts for mounting them to the walls. They're pretty sturdy steel. I had a couple lying around. Most of this grinder is actually made out of these big CRT TV mounting brackets. The most intact one is the frame, which is the base, and this middle pedestal. The tensioning shaft is also part of one of those, I believe, as is the pivot for the wheel alignment, and this receiver part is made out of, again, parts of the same brackets, as is the platen. The whole platen assembly is pretty much made out of those pieces. I brought these wheels, but as I mentioned before, originally I was using skateboard wheels for the platen, and for the alignment wheel and the drive wheel I was using the wheels that came off this little bench grinder. It originally had a 2x36 inch grinding attachment, but it's built so flimsy that it was just unserviceable, so what actually happened was I continually modified this assembly until it turned into this, essentially. So it's come a long way from a $60 bench grinder, to what we have here before us. The motor I've got from a pool pump, so for pool filtration pump. I had to modify it a bit with the casing to get it to fit this little grinder. I was originally wanting to take this front plate off, but then as I tried to disassemble it, I realised that it is actually part of the motor, so I had to just hacksaw and chisel and grind out bits to get what I needed done. The motor is only 400 watts, so this grinder is fairly weak compared to some of the ones that the guys online make with like 3000 watt motors and 3-phase motors with speed adjustment and stuff. But it's serviceable, it works. At some point I would like to upgrade the motor so I can add the proper nylon wheel to it, because the shaft is just too wrong on this one. It's only like, what is that? That's like 13 mil or something, I think, versus what's this, like 22 or something mil. But yeah, this is actually pretty surprisingly easy. It's kind of time consuming. There was a bit of messing around to work, but when I initially started making this, I was thinking that I was going to have to get everything perfectly in alignment, and it was going to be hell on 4 legs. But turns out it wasn't too bad, as long as you have most things roughly in alignment. And the key thing is having them all on the same plane, particularly the drive wheel and the tracking wheel. So you just need to loosen bolts off and get them so it's not like slightly skew this way or slightly skew this way. I've managed to do pretty well with most parts. These ones, the platens, are drilled on the drill press, so they're fairly square with this. This tracking wheel kind of has its own adjustments, but it's also been drilled on the drill press, so it's fairly square with the front of the pipe. And the biggest adjustment is the motor mount, where I can loosen it up and just twist the thing to get the wheel in the right plane. And when I was lining everything up, I'll use this bit of wood as an example, although I was using a steel straight edge. You just kind of rest this on here, so you can get, so that kind of projects the angle of the back wheel, and you can see I've actually still got it out a little bit, so, but it operates. So yeah. And that's my little belt grinder. The belt, and let's turn it on. Alright, cool. Well, this was the belt grinder that I made, and it hasn't cost me too much money, and it goes to show you that if you use a bit of thinking what you have around you, you can often get results that are serviceable and can save you a lot of money.